What I was striving for was actually money. I was athletic. I had dreams of being a pro baseball player, and I grew up in a neighborhood with that mobsters was prevalent. So everybody I knew was either involved with the mob or had family members that were made guys in the mob, and so it was an exposure that in the back of my mind I always looked up to it. Similar to what you're saying, it was glamorized, and the fantasy of seeing all that money and watching guys drive cars. I wanted that stuff, and as things got difficult in my life, I went in that direction. But it's not what everybody thinks it is. So, that's why I'm sitting here today to send that message. It's not glamorized. When I was a younger kid, got involved with just minor things while I was at work. I used to work in a delicatessen, and that delicatessen also had bookmakers next door, and they used to use the payphone in the back room. And one of the bookmakers' nieces was a girlfriend of mine as we were kids. So I was familiar with them, and he'd ask me favors to run some slips over to him when I was at work. So I'd run it over in the envelopes. And my bosses at that time were gamblers themselves, so they didn't have a problem with it. They were kind of involved themselves on a very small scale. So I started hanging out and doing little errands, and when things didn't work out later on in life, as a ball player, I had an arm injury. I went back to the street. Yeah, we were introduced to each other through some mutual friends, a couple occasions. We really weren't buddies. We just knew each other, hello, goodbye. And I met him on another occasion with Fat Andy Ruggiano's son, Albert, who was one of the guys involved with me at a gym that we used to box at. He was a couple of years older, my baseball coach. And he introduced me another time with John Gotti Jr., but he didn't care for him. Initially, when we first met, we was part of the job kind of thing. Then, like anything else, when you spend a lot of time with somebody, you get friendly with them, and we started having a pretty good friendship. I'd say, like anything else, you have a good time. It's about business, about money is the bottom line, really. I don't think one made me question what I was doing, but when I was sitting in jail cells and I would reminisce back and say, what happened to that good kid? And went to college and studied. I was a ball player. I was a captain of my high school baseball team for 2 years. I played 4 years varsity, and I wondered what happened to that good kid. I was really a good kid. Went to got a stockbroker's license, a Series 7, and I started saying to myself, how did I go wrong, and why did I do what I did? And I started really questioning myself and saying, I wish I could take it back and go back, especially when you're sitting in those cells and you're saying, you cause a lot of pain for a lot of families. And at the time, you're justifying it and you're blind to the money. And you cause a lot of pain for your own family and obviously for yourself. Started going downhill around 92, I'd say. When 91, Bobby Borriello gets killed. He was best man at John Gotti Jr.'s wedding, and the three of us were together on a constant basis. And he was killed because of the retribution with the Castellano hit. And John badmouthed him to me at the hospital when my son was born. It was July 18th, I believe, the day after he was born. We had a conversation about Bobby Borriello out in front of the hospital. And instead of talking highly of our friend, he started knocking him. And that was probably the beginning of some issues that kept occurring. Well, there was other issues prior that I started to understand that I'm just another guy that does work for them and earns money. Bobby Borriello was Italian. He was a made guy. He was a loyal guy to that family. Mark Ryder was a Jewish guy that made millions for the family, and his son was killed. And no one cared. When his money wasn't there anymore, and as long as he didn't give up Gotti Sr., and as long as his son died while he was in prison, nobody helped him. Nobody tried to find out who killed him. And when they eventually did find out who killed his son, they didn't do anything about it. So, I understood the life at this time. I'm a little older, and I understand the Gottis, and I understand the mob. Well, I was mad at him. I was very angry. He put a message out on the street that I was a cooperator and I was a rat. And I was in prison fighting for my life in Brazilian penitentiaries. And I got a message that John Gotti Jr., through an attorney, Joseph Carrazzo, whose uncle was an acting boss for our family, Nicky, and his father was a concierge of the family. And they sent me a message that John Gotti Jr. was ratting with the government and that he was walking in on a sneak, and he took what they call a proffer and queen of the day, where he gives up people and can't be charged with anything he talks about that day. Yeah, well, while I'm in the Brazilian penitentiaries, I'm making phone calls back because my co-defendants are on trial in Tampa, Florida, and I'm trying to help them beat the case. And I'm speaking to Carrazzo, the attorney, and he gives me information that John Gotti Jr., I told him to speak to him about helping them beat the case, that he's a cooperator, he tells me. And I says, are you kidding me? And he says, yeah, I'm going to send you the information. We got it from an attorney, Charlie Canisi, who gave it to a client prior to him. His name is Danny Marino, who's also a made guy in our family. Danny Marino took that 302 when he got his hands on it from Charlie Canisi, and he brought it to our administration, which was the Carrazzo brothers, concierge and acting bosses. I don't know how much he knows is out yet because in George Anastasia's book, he places the front page of his 302 proffer Queen of the Day, where he rats in the book with his signature on it, his attorneys, the prosecutors, and we have the paperwork. That so it's not something he could dispute. And I don't know how much he's aware of what we exactly have yet, and that the public will have shortly. That he got on 60 Minutes, and it'll show you his credibility. 3 times called me a miscreant, called me some names, and I used to be real angry at him. What I am is angry at his message, not about me personally. About listen, the, the mafia is done for me. It's done for him. Let's pass a message to these kids. He suffered as I suffered in different ways. I don't really care what he did that he cooperated. At this point, at one time I did. He actually did me a favor. So I'm finished with the life. So he has his own issues in his own camp of where that paperwork actually came from. So I guess when he finds out, he'll have to have that discussion with his attorney about him giving that paperwork out on him because he has no knowledge of that yet. At the time, I was like any young kid. We believed in all that small print of loyalty and camaraderie and sharing wealth, and it doesn't exist. Now that I'm home and I'm living a right life, I have that loyalty again. I speak to my old friends I grew up with since we're kids, and I stay with everyday, regular, hardworking people and gentlemen. I choose my friends correctly now at an older age, so I understand life a little more, and I'm trying to do the right thing and live the right life with the right guys. So yeah, the loyalty is in a different direction these days, an aspect of life. So no, I had an exciting life. I can't say I didn't, but I had pain that you can't imagine. And John Gotti Jr. also and his family suffered that same pain. That's why I don't understand this message that he's trying to project, portray in his, in his message to people in this new book that he's writing about his father, and he's glamorizing the life and as if his father was a king of a country. He could love his dad, and he should. And his dad loved him, and his kids could love their grandfather. But they need to pass that message out that he lived a life that was garbage. He was a monster on the street. He ordered a lot of hits. Uh, I was a bad guy on the street. John Jr. was a bad guy on the street. And he didn't quit the mafia like he tried to portray. He was thrown out of the mafia when this document came in, and he was shelved, is what we call. And he's not a mobster anymore. He used that as a defense in '99, I guess, that he quit the mafia. It doesn't exist. It's not true. And later on, he got caught on a tape, angry at his uncle that broke him down from acting boss to a skipper, which is a captain. And if you quit the mafia in '99, what would you be mad at your uncle for breaking you down to a skipper for? So it's ridiculous. But in 2005, they shelved him. Why they don't kill him, I have no idea. if I was him, I'd be a little paranoid on the street. Maybe because of all this media attention, but he's in a dangerous position for some of the things he did. They did a 2-day series out of England with Trevor McDonald. Great guy, great interviewist. He was the first person that interviewed Mandela. And those are the guys that we need to tell the kids to respect. A guy like Mandela, a president of a country, Martin Luther King Jr., people that were real heroes, lost his life for his cause, Martin Luther King Jr., in a good way, not in a violent way. This guy that he's trying to portray as one of these kind of people, his dad, I'm sorry, he's not. He's just a bad guy. But he was his father, and that's okay. You can be entitled to love your dad, but just keep that in perspective. And I'm trying to send a different message than him, and I'm not knocking him. So I know a lot of the media thinks I knock him, and he knocks me. I know he does knock me. It doesn't. I don't really pay any attention, any credence to what he talks about or says. I just want to be honest and help kids. My two sons, I have a great relationship. One he's 18, the other one's 23. They both work real hard, go to school. My daughter I reunited with, and we have a fantastic relationship. She works for an attorney, and we're very close now. And it's my baby, my daughter. So she's always going to be my little girl, and so that's how I look at it. I mean, that's some of the things that these other kids need to see. I says, when you lose contact with your family, and my one son, we got some things to go through and trials, and it's a rocky relationship, and I'm hoping that it gets better. That's my oldest son.
I mean, this is something I feel like everyone's going to want us to touch upon before we end. And you don't have to answer it, but what happened with Vicky?
To me, I won't answer that. It's not relevant. I was talking about the mob and keep it to that. I don't want to talk about anybody personally. I don't have any hard feelings towards her or anybody in his family. So it's not part of the message that I want to send out. And, I want to be relevant as far as helping kids. I did some things that I'm ashamed of and wish I could take back. I can't. The only thing I do is move forward and try to help some kids. And I'm hoping to do that. And I'm hoping to make money the right way, break into this movie business. And I got a consultant job coming up in a couple of months. And hopefully I can get on that path and make a difference in a couple of different areas.